Tina Turner. Woo!
Nice jacket. Where'd you get that at?
Santa, you got to admit, if you were a good boy, Brad, Santa was better than all the rest, baby. I hope he delivered.
I didn't get one like that. I didn't get nothing like that.
I love this thing, baby. It's perfect.
I
had a nice tracksuit. Santa was the best.
Bowling. You need to go bowling in that thing.
I do. That's why. So welcome into Let's Talk More Action.live, where Santa took good care of our family, and I hope you guys all that are tuning in and watching this here at Let's Talk More Action.live had a very Merry Christmas, and it was a very Merry Christmas to all of your families, especially your kids, and that the big guy back here made it down the chimney safely, delivered all the packages that the kids wanted, and I bring in my co-host Brad Shoulders as we have the Bears-Seahawks game over our shoulder. This is an important one for the two of us. We're going to get into the storyline here in just a minute, but how are you doing? You got a little post-Christmas Day hangover?
Not as bad as my wife. Oh, my gracious. Should have seen all the wine she drank. We walked in the house last night about 11:30, and they've got a beanbag near the front door, and she fell on that and never got up. I seen her this morning. She was stiffer than a board when she got up. But me, I'm doing good. I felt good. I feel good.
All right. Where did real quick? Well, where did the party take us? Where did the party take us last night?
Kaufman's. So you know what that turned into.
Yeah, he's a great golfer. Yes, kids. One son's a stud. So yes, okay.
We were in the garage, in the heated garage, drinking.
I've been there once. Things get out of control. He's an old style guy too, still, right? Or Pabst?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, there's old style in the fridge there.
All right. Never gets God bless him, and God bless our Lord and Savior Jesus for obviously yesterday and all the great things that He does for us in this world. That was a day about Him. But if you've got kids, we know that the day was about this big guy. I just love this thing that my family got for me, so I had to show it off on this post-Christmas Day edition of Let's Talk More Action.live, and that's why we also
sweatsuit. Is it a sweatsuit?
It is, but I didn't want to wear the. No, dude, easy. I did not. I chose not to wear the whole entire outfit. When we see you at New Year's, you might see the whole suit. Maybe we will go bowling.
But when you wear the running suit, you got to wear the whole running suit.
I'll remember that for next time. So we have an important edition here at Let's Talk More Action.live, and why? Because Tina Turner said it best when she said simply the best. Because what's crazy is you're looking at the two best left in our fantasy football playoff in the neighborhood league. It is the 5 seed Ottawa Camel Toe. My co-host, Brad Shoulders, and your host, Trevor Lutke, the greatest show on paper, that are the only two left fighting it out for the big money. So, real quick, I think this is just wild, man. We started this podcast. I just want to share the quick story. We started this podcast started last March. We were just screwing around. Company that we had been working with decided to pick it up, try to make it something bigger, expand it, got the website at Let's Talk More Action.live. That's why it was too much for .com. So learned a lesson in business. But I thought it was wild, man. We sit here, we've been co-hosting the show, practicing, kind of trying to get it right. And here we are. We finally get ourselves into this position with this show. And now we meet for this prestigious son of a bitch.
Oh,
the fantasy football trophy. Yes, it's bowling, but you know what? The Red Stag. So we're playing for this and a lot of big money that we said would take us to Vegas probably for the MGM. Well, a trip on Spirit, let's be honest. Maybe the MGM Grand and a spot at the craps table, blackjack table, and maybe one of the two of us to hoist this bad boy next episode. So how you feeling?
Well, I don't know. This first half of the Seattle Bear game's put me to sleep, but maybe they'll light up in the second half. I see you snuck Geno Smith in there. What happened there?
You did see that as a late addition.
Where'd that
All right. From? Also, let's take a quick look inside our matchup, because here's what's crazy is this game behind us tonight actually has a lot of meaning to both of us, because Brad got here. You got here on the last weekend of the regular season. You got DK Metcalf and Jackson Smith and Nigba. Both of them went off. Tonight, they're having a little bit of struggle. But my thing was, as we look inside the matchup, I have Joe Burrow at quarterback. I decided to deploy Geno Smith because my fear was the Bears suck. And they suck so bad that my fear was one of your guys was going to go off for a ton. And if they did, my concern was I was going to be in deep trouble. And so I stole Geno Smith off the wire for a second and decided, let's start him. So, tell me about the matchup from your perspective of what we're looking at here.
I've watched these Seattle games because I've got a few of their players. So I've watched them over the weeks, and I've seen them have these slow halves like this, and then I've seen them light the second half up. So there's still a shot for both of us to score some points in this game. The thing, though, that kind of worries me is if you watch the first half, Seattle looks disinterested, and they got to win this game. I don't get it, man. I don't get where they're I don't know what they had, a bad flight or some bad liquor or what, but they don't look like they're interested in this game at all. But that's what the halftime rah-rah speech is for. I'm hoping they come out of the gate and just get crazy here in the second half.
Well, we're watching Al Michaels and Herbie on the TV, but I was disinterested, and I was sitting here setting up the podcast, and I'm just like, this game is garbage. But the thing was, here's the thing. And again, what we do is we host this fantasy. It started out as like Let's Talk More Action Live originated with him and Brad and I kind of working on ideas like, we were going to, he gave you some March Madness plays. We took a look at the fantasy side of things. But this show's Let's Talk More Action Live is about everything and anything. And we built a friendship over the years. I would not have known him if it wasn't for my gorgeous and lovely wife who got me this tracksuit. And so the bottom line is we've become really good friends, and we found it interesting that last weekend he had to beat his son Levi just to get to the spot. I had to beat my co-soccer coach Jeff Olerud to get here. And so what I'm trying to teach is Brad, here's the other thing is everybody's looking here, and they're probably seeing you have Jamar Chase. And they're like, well, he had Joe Burrow, so he blocks him there. I just felt to myself like I trust Denver's defense more than I did Chicago's. And my concern was Metcalf and JSN at any moment in any given time are two guys that can honestly light it up. And if I was thinking to myself, if they each catch a touchdown and I left Geno on the waiver wire, I basically essentially screwed myself.
Well, I like the angle, man. I'll tell you, you came here to win this thing. I like that because I'm here to win it too. So we'll see what happens. I hope for your sake, Joe Burrow don't throw like 5 tutties on Sunday and throw them to my boy, because then it's going to be
Thank you. Well, and here's the thing is I'm in a quandary because I was thinking about that. I'm like, Burrow could hit Chase for all 3 touchdowns, right? I mean, he literally could just take him, which he has been, like 13 targets a game. But in my mind, like you said, what I thought was important is what we're going to teach you here in a moment, or we're going to go into in a second. What I think is important, Brad, is who's playing for what at this point in the season with 2 weeks left here in week 17, right? Is Seattle's playing for something. I thought the energy would be there. Geno is a player. I thought he would come to play. And it is, you're right. Like DK's already got a personal foul in the first half for some crap that he did on the field. Like, get your stuff together, guys. Like, I really thought Seattle.
If DK don't get the targets, he starts acting like a little whiner, man. That's what he's doing. So I'm hoping now he comes out and pitches a complete fit in the second half and has like 10 catches. So we're going to find out.
You're going to need him. You're going to need him. And I mean, at this point, I will take what I'm looking at the screen. If JSN and DK hold themselves under maybe 10 each, double digits, I'm going to feel like I've got a really good shot going in to Saturday and Sunday.
I'd have to agree because you got a good week out of your tight end. I mean, that's a good score there out of Andrews.
I know. I needed it. I needed it yesterday. So, all right. Well, before we break down the plays for the weekend of Week 17, we've got a couple games on Saturday. We've got a couple games on Sunday. Some of this stuff, again, what we're trying to give you is some angles on things. What we've learned in our years. Brad has been in this industry for a long time in the sports betting side of things. So have I. Brad has done it from, he's had a different perspective on things than I might have. But what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to tell you this may not be the best time to go ahead and start throwing down a lot of your holiday money that you might have received from mom and dad, because the playoffs are coming. And I'm going to tell you this, I'm hungry. I'm really hungry. And my stomach is ready to eat. it's going to get filled up because these playoff matchups, I have a feeling, are going to be tasty on paper when Vegas sets these lines. But as we're talking about here, Brett, it's tough to try to find an angle on some of these games that don't mean much.
Oh, no, and there's a bunch of those on the slate, too. So, yeah, be careful with that.
All right, so
go ahead.
So I was just going to say, so when I took a look at something, and then I wanted to share something. So when I was looking at something, it says teams that this article that we had that we sent out to this text thread that we're into the league was teams that score 30 points or fewer in each game this season. Who's got me is Kansas City's 14-1. So teams to score 30 points or fewer in each game this season. Wild stat. The Kansas City Chiefs are 14-1 and can't get over 30. The other three teams that haven't done this are the 3-12 New England Patriots, 3-12 Las Vegas Raiders, and the 2-13 New York Giants. Do you think, Brad, what we're seeing from the Chiefs now that maybe your son, who was high on Hollywood Brown, now that he's back, maybe are going to be ready for a long playoff run all the way back to the Super Bowl?
I don't like the Chiefs, man. Here's the stat that Trevor was talking about. I got it right here. It might be easy for people to understand if they can read that. Can you read that?
Yeah, it's hard to read, but it's hard to read, but okay.
But what he's saying is, basically what he just threw out there is Kansas City's a fraud, and I think they are too. How many games have they won this year that they probably shouldn't have won? And you're going to hear,
very true.
Good teams do that. Mahomes always pulls them out. I'm going to tell you what, if I'm Kansas City, I don't want nothing to do with Buffalo in the playoffs right now. I think they're starting to gel at the right time.
Yep.
I think Buffalo's a better team. And, there's other teams in the AFC too, but ultimately we're probably looking at a Kansas City-Buffalo matchup at some point in the AFC. And I think Buffalo is a superior team this year. I am not on the Kansas City bandwagon. They played a lot of football in the last 5 years. They played with all the extra playoff games in the Super Bowl. That stuff starts adding up. And I don't think they're I kind of sometimes they look uninterested too, but it might just be because they don't turn it on to the playoffs. But sometimes if you wait until the playoffs to turn it on, it's a little bit too late. And all of a sudden you look up at the scoreboard and you're getting beat late in the first round. And then all of a sudden you're out. So I'm not a Chief fan. Not a Chief fan.
I'm not either, but I definitely, from what I watched yesterday, they definitely certainly looked better. So we're going to kind of move into this. We're going to give you some plays, maybe a fantasy angle. Some of you are still playing for your championships. Obviously, you could see our lineups. I brought us back on screen. I just want to, again, thank all our listeners, thank all our viewers here. This should be posted to Let's Talk More Action tonight and then ready for viewing. But, Brett, I just, we've been friends for a long time. I thought people should get to know us a little bit better as we host this show, like the time when my father-in-law drove a moving truck into your gutter at your house. And then that same night, there was a heavy rainstorm, and I walked into your basement where I had been sleeping in the basement. There was a lot of commotion upstairs. You guys, I think, were still partying, and we were going to move him all the way to Denver. But for some reason, we're in Ottawa, Illinois, and he obviously wasn't going to take the first drive or the first leg of the trip, which I was taking. So I was thinking to myself, I better get some rest. And I walked into your bathroom during this, heavy rainstorm, and I had water up to my ankles.
That was a monsoon.
And I thought, who clogged the toilet, man? Somebody did some work in here. And then I realized, damn, this is a lot of water. And when I finally turned the lights on, I realized just how bad the situation was. It was not a good situation, but the good friend that you were said, we got to get this problem fixed as quick as we can. So you ran and got a shop vac. Well, you deployed me into the middle of the street in pouring rain, lightning, thunder to unclog the tree limb from the water runoff area on the street. So I risked life and limb for you, your home, and, it was a long night for us shop vacuuming that water out, but you've become a good friend of mine, and I wanted to let people on the show know kind of the stories that we have, and you're a pretty mellow guy.
Just to add to that, you left one part out. After we shop vac for 10 hours, somewhere in that late hour, I went down into the basement and fell down my steps and cracked my elbow. Do you remember that?
But that was the night?
That was the same night, man. Same night. So it was just, but anyway, I appreciate you making me relive that freaking nightmare. That was, and here's the thing, We haven't had a flood since then in my basement. It was all my street out front was flooded. Once he moved and cleared the drain off out front and the street drained down, instantly my basement drained out. So what it is what it is. That's Trevor and I go back a long way. I was in his wedding. I didn't, we weren't together when I got married because I've been married a little longer, or he would have been in mine. But yeah, we got a history for sure. And this tonight, playing each other in the fantasy championship just adds to that history and that lore. I love it.
Yeah, it's been awesome. And just to think that we started this podcast and here we are, like the two of us left out of a 12-man league. Like some guys have been asking, 8-man league, 10-man league. I'm like, no, we play a full 12-man league. It's quite a bit of money. And I'm like, truthfully, the winner will probably be buying the league some, a round of drinks to get started right away. But,
sure.
Brad's he's a great guy, giving guy, humble guy, and what I've noticed just about the two of us, though, we're pretty kind of relaxed, and there's just not a lot that bothers us. So thank God when my father-in-law crashed into the side of your house, you weren't some monster that came running out to beat the shit out of him. So
I love him. I could never do that. He's a good guy too.
All right, let's take you inside some of the plays for this week as we get ready to roll into week 17. It always wants me to log back in. That's what we got to do. So, Brad, you start talking about kind of something that you might have picked up on here. We are both Vikings fans. I grew up in the great northern part of Wisconsin near the Minnesota border, so I got myself an opportunity to go to a lot of games. And so I kind of became a Vikings fan at that point. So what are your thoughts this weekend?
I like the Vikes. They're at home. They're getting a point. As of right now, they're getting a point. So they were giving points earlier in the week. Now they're getting a point. Vikings, okay. Not the Green Bay doesn't have anything to play for either. Don't get me wrong, but the Vikings control their destiny. If they can win out, they'll be the number one seed in the NFC, and they'll get to host the playoffs the entire time they're in it. So that's a big why to come out and play good ball. They beat the Packers earlier in the year up in Green Bay. Not that doesn't mean they're going to win this one, but I like the matchup. They're at home. It's going to be loud. It's going to be obnoxious. And I mean, let's face it, Sam Darnold's playing ball, man. He's doing good right now. So unless he completely falls on his face, I like the Vikings at home to get the win. I don't care if it's by 3, 10, 15, whatever it is. I think they're going to walk out with a win.
Okay, so let's stay on that play for a second. So are you thinking you'd go straight up on this thing?
Yes. And now I see they're getting 1.5, so I just got another half a point. So everybody's betting Green Bay. Green Bay looks hot coming in. I mean, they're a good team. Don't get me wrong; it's a great rivalry. They're in the same division, but Minnesota at home, I'd put my money on it.
Okay, so remember, we do this show live. This is not pre-recorded. We I got to navigate the screen and those things. So it's just so you guys know, like it's not always for our viewers and our listeners. Some things, anything in television sometimes doesn't always run smoothly. But we're going to try to take you inside the play. So I try to bring the screen up and show you guys live. But what I thought, Brad, was interesting is you were talking about this game was Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison have been on a freaking heater lately, and you're trying to tell me that Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison are plus money to a touchdown this weekend in the Dome against a Packers defense that can be beat? I think there's money to be made there on one of these two guys.
That's on. And really, if you had to take one, I mean, to me, they're going to come in and really load up on Jefferson because Jefferson has laid the wood to Green Bay many, many times. So I like Addison here. If you could put them together because they're both plus money, but for sure you got to have Addison in there. He's been playing really well.
Well, if we're taking, so here's the thing is, again, I want to just talk to our listeners. So we talk in units. Units are like, some guys' units down the street are $5. Mine are usually, 20 or 25. Brad's son, Levi, who was a part of this show last week when we were talking the playoffs because he was in the semifinals against, his dad was, he's a $5-10 guy. He just actually took a screenshot, though. Brad, you'd be proud of me. Already got DeAndre Swift yards after the catch for reception. So he got over the yards and he got the reception total on D Swift. And he just said, I thought these two were too low. He bet, I think it was 20 for 45. So what we're trying to do, though, is tell you guys whatever your budget is, we just give you, we take a closer look. Our budgets, what we're saying is one unit could be $25. So let's take a quick look at a same game parlay. If like Brad said, okay, you take both these guys, $25 is going to give you almost 5 times your money back. Brad, that is insane to me that you're getting 5 times your money for these guys to score a touchdown.
That's a nice looking return right there. And I mean, you listen, it is pretty much set in stone that one of these two is going to score for sure. And the
Yes.
likelihood of both of them scoring is really good. So I like that wager right there. That's a good looking one.
Okay. So I just took a look. So I'm trying to show you guys maybe inside the same game parlay while we're inside some of these games. So Brad, I'm going to go back to your next play now. Let's take a look back at that. Your next play you sent me. So I'm on the Vikings too. So that I'm going to give you my play coming up here in a second and how I do it. Your other play was, which was the other one?
I like the Eagles laying the 7.
Okay. So you're 7.5 now, but you could buy off of it down to 7 if you want.
Yeah.
Pay a little more money on that.
I think they're at home. Their defense is pretty stout. And, Dallas is going with the backup quarterback. And now CD Lamb is no longer available. So that's probably why the half point landed on there. But without without CD Lamb, what does Dallas have left?
Correct. So CD Lamb is out. He's been ruled out. He is done. He's officially done for the year. They're going to hang it up. And then your third play was, what was your third play?
Titans. Tennessee
Titans. Okay. So you're finding, here's my thing. I'm going to let you kind of explain. To me, this is a no play. And again, the reason, that's why I have him on, and we have different angles of why we do things, how we look at things. But this is just a no play for me because there's nothing to play for. But maybe take us through the play quick and your thought on it.
I've watched some Titans games, and I've watched Jacksonville, and I don't think Titans got a good team. I think there's a few games they could have won this year. Their record would look a lot better at this time. Jacksonville behind Mac Jones, he's awful. I don't care. I keep trying to get behind a Mac Jones, train because I've got a Jacksonville receiver, and my son's on me not playing him. But I've watched a few Jacksonville games where he's barely cracking 100 yards passing. So I just think the Titans are a better team. I know Jacksonville has nothing to play for. I think Tennessee's just got a better roster. So when you get two teams that aren't playing for much, I just look at the rosters, and I think the Titans' roster is better. And it's a point and a half. So they basically got to come out of there with a field goal to win it or whatever,
All right, so something we like to do on this show that a lot of you guys, maybe some of our newers aren't exactly familiar with, is teasing. So teasing is you combine some plays together and then you get some profitability towards your line. So Brad, what I thought I would do was try to show our listeners and our viewers here the art of the tease, because you kind of bring it perfectly to us. We're going to do a 6-point teaser here and watch how this thing sets up. Like, you couldn't have picked 3 better games for me to tease, because this is exactly what happens. So if you're on FanDuel, again, this is just a dummy account we work within, but here's the play. So Titans, Vikings, Eagles, you come down here and it says teasers round robin. So I'm going to try to kind of right here in that area. So you're going to hit that. Okay. So again, I can't see myself. So I go to hit that and I come down here. And let me see, I got to go back. Oh, teaser's up here. So right here. So now we go to a 6-point teaser. And the reason I'm going to explain this is what I want to show you is what Brad's actually doing here, or what he could do, which is great, is it's about the number. It's like when you invest on the market, everything's about the number when you get it and when you invest and make that initial investment. So Brad, you would have a touchdown. You get a touchdown with the Titans, a touchdown with the Vikings, and you got to just win the game now. You're basically asking the Eagles just win the game. -1.5 is chances of winning by 1 are slim to none. It could happen, but so what I'm showing you is a 3-leg teaser at +140 for $25 is my return for $35. You might want to bump that up a little bit if it's a 2-unit play and I go 50 for 70. Brad, I really like this. Like the art of teasing. Like my point to this is what I want to show people is if you didn't have the 7.5 on these lines, what I'm trying to explain to people is if you had 7, you click the plus button and get that extra half a point. Here, Brad does not need it because in my mind, 1.5 doesn't kill us. 8, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to go with that. I just want the over the touchdown. He has that here. So I like this play here. And that's going to be a play that I believe with the structure that he had set out that I would go ahead and make. What do you think?
I like it. When I looked at these, I was looking at them straight up. And when you throw the teaser in there, look at, we're sitting at 2 games with 7 and a hook. You got to love that hook on there. A lot of games end in 7 or 3 and we got a hook. So anytime, we talk about buying off the hook. Well, now we grab the teaser and we actually gained the hook on the teaser as well. So I like it. It's a good looking setup, man. It's a lot of
So
action
the
there
other
too to
thing is,
watch.
but something that gets me excited about this, which you can just feel it in your bones. You're just like, what I'm liking about this kind of style of play is it gives me the opportunity to adjust the line off of what the pros say that is going to happen within the game. But I feel it gives us as the players an advantage here to tease, and you could do a 2-team teaser, do the same thing. It just doesn't pay as profitable. But at this point, like, I just think that this is a great spot to be in. So I'm going to take you through one more teaser that I thought I had. So let's go ahead. I'm going to try to back this out. So, Brad, go ahead and just talk for a second while you are
Sure.
like in just terms of maybe some other things that you had seen. That when you were looking at this, while I clear this and remove these selections and come into my stuff.
What I like about that too is they have flexed the Viking Packer game to 325. So let's say you hit the first two legs of that teaser in the noon games.
Yep.
Now you can play with that 325 game a little bit too. I mean, we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, but that's always something that I've tried to teach my son that too. If you're going to run some parlays or teasers, try to mix early games with late games, because if you could pick the early games right, then you got some room to play around with the late game. You can back bet yourself depending on, how much you stand to gain. So that's something
exactly.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and that depends on how much you're playing for. So here's what I was looking at. I'm going with teams that actually I feel had something to play for. So let's go back quickly inside another teaser. This was my tease. I believed with Brad had the Vikings. I believe the Rams at 6.5. I really like what they're playing for. So what is on the line is the reason this game over our shoulder is so important is not only from our fantasy perspective and the greatest show on paper against Ottawa Camel Toe. Don't ask if you're really a consistent listener. We'll explain team names later in another episode. But bottom line is if Seattle somehow loses this game, it's tight 6-3. The Rams can clinch the division now with a win and a Seattle loss. So I'm looking inside this going, okay, give me this teaser, and I'm teasing 6 points again. And now look what I got. I got Atlanta, who I think is going to have to play for something because they got to figure this Michael Penix situation out. I'm getting 10.5. I got the Vikings we talked about at 7.5. We just feel that game's going to be closer. And now I just got to get the Rams to win the game. And again, we're back in here. And if this is a $50 play, we're back to 70 again.
Podcasting.
Oh, he's podcasting. Is the family down there? Is the family down there?
Talking to me.
She finally got out of the beanbag chair and got herself.
She's off the beanbag chair. She's actually standing up now.
Is she off the bottle?
No, actually, she's down here looking for a bottle at the bar right now. This woman never stops. She's amazing.
Yes.
You just
all right.
Her off the bottle.
Okay.
Show her. Let's see. Give me this. This is her wine.
This is
live.
Advent.
This is her wine Advent calendar.
Oh,
it's
nice.
It's a different bottle of wine every day leading up to Christmas.
It's a glass.
Well, I mean, it's
okay.
She's
we've seen them.
She's cashed it, is what I'm saying. It's over. It's gone.
It's countdown to Christmas, dipshit. Christmas is over.
Oh!
Hey, a little salty there. I don't know. She's right there. She's liable to go find one for New Year's, though, that'll have 15 bottles for the next 3 days.
Oh, that's priceless. That is. We do need. What happened?
We just got a
Why
TV.
is somebody running around in the end zone?
I've seen that.
All right. Well, we do need. So we are still looking for, like I said, hang on. We're still looking for sponsors. Knob Creek, opportunity here for you. Maybe's Maker's Mark, opportunity for you here.
I can taste that through the screen.
We drink water too here. Ice Mountain, we could use you as well as a strong supporter of Less Talk More Action.live. But all right, so we just gave you the other portion of our plays, the teasers here. And again, we keep track of these. We hold ourselves accountable here at Let's Talk More Action. I'm going to give you one more thing before we leave you. Brad, this has to hit. Here we go. I mean, this has to happen. It can't not happen. I mean, Santa has delivered in every way, shape, or form at this house this weekend. And you know what play. You got to know what play I'm making. You have to. You got to know I'm going inside the Cardinals game because there's a guy that's got to deliver the package. You know who that is.
I'm with you, but what are the odds now? It's had to.
but he's
Here we
plus
go.
155. Trey McBride is the best tight end in the league and has not delivered a single freaking touchdown in 17 weeks. The guy has to score. He's got to get in at some point. You don't think so? This
No,
game's got to be a shootout.
I'm shaking my head that he hasn't scored a receiving touchdown all year. I mean, what's he's got to have near 100 catches on the year? Every time I turn
Yeah,
around, he's got 9
yeah.
grabs for 110 yards. He's getting in. He's getting in.
Okay.
I'm with you. I was just shaking my head that it's unbelievable he hasn't scored.
He has 92. So he has 92 catches, 958 yards. So he's going over. He'll probably get to 100 catches in this game. I think it's going to be a shootout. Well, not 100. I mean, but I think he's going to have 5-6 catches.
No,
He'll have 10 targets.
He does every week. Every week. The Bears just scored.
And so he'll
I
have
don't know
10.
what it was. Bears got a defensive touchdown. I think the Bears got a defensive touchdown.
Well, that's going to be horrible. Did Geno Smith just throw a pick?
It's either that or a fumble. But get back to your McBride.
Goodness.
We'll catch the highlight.
Okay.
So
here's my other thing. Okay. So here's my other thing before we let you go is I'm looking at this. If you guys want to have some fun, Cooper Kupp has been horrible. Horrible. And why do I know this? Is because he's sitting on my starting lineup right here tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Right there, Cooper.
I need
Get
one
it
more
together,
dog
kid.
shit game out of him. One more.
Get it? He has to get this together. He does not have time. Why is that? I don't know why that's not. I had it showing. But anyways. No. So 2-game parlay. I'm going Cooper Kupp to score with Trey McBride, get his first one of the year. If you're same game parlaying these things, you do not need a full unit. Again, this is basically a half unit. So $10 for $45. And the only one that I also thought of is, Brad, there's one other one I took a look at for a couple touchdowns. And so I'm going to take this off. I'm going to take that off. And I will give you guys one more play that I just think is going to happen. Again, do not go ahead and go crazy on this and start. You don't want to do a lot of touchdown scores. You try to keep it to 2. I got some neighbors who like to have fun for $1 and put in like 7. It's wild and crazy stuff, but
it's $1.
Whatever. But
they have fun.
Right. But the other game is, Brad, I think this game turns into a shootout. 48 points on the total over-under. I'm not playing it. But you have Mike Evans, right? I can't see the thing now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there it is.
I just think you look at touchdown scores. Take a look at this. Again, this is the Justin Jefferson theory of we have Mike Evans at minus 130. I think Jalen McMillan's time is kind of getting close to the end where he's kind of been the showstopper. But I want to take a quick look at the Mike Evans touchdown, and then I like this Cade Otton at plus 210.
Well, you got to be careful with him because the reason I didn't start him last week, he sat too. He was didn't practice all week, and he's got some type of ginormous brace on his knee, so he's got a bad knee. I'm watching him this week to see if he's going back in my lineup. So I'm just saying, make sure he's playing.
Okay. All right. Well, if he's not, and here's the thing is, the nice thing is at FanDuel, if he gets ruled out and you put the bet in before, they just make it a 2-teamer. The only other thing I was thinking is if this thing does go a little bit into shootout style, Adam Thielen, the former Viking, he has been just nuts as of late. I mean, he's getting a ton of targets. He's been the number 1 receiver. Brad, I think you liked him when he was, obviously you liked him a lot when he was in Minnesota, but 10 for 150. Again, these are not plays to go crazy with, but I'm looking to try to have some fun. I'm going to come back here on full screen. What I'm trying to tell you guys is this. We're trying to have a good time this weekend, but it's tough, man. These games like this, it is freaking 6-3 with 1 minute and 30 seconds to go in the third quarter. These games have turned into crap, and the NFL it's just not a great product right now. And unfortunately, it is what it is. But we as sports bettors have to try to find an angle, and that's what we're trying to do for you guys here. Let's talk more action.live. Any last thoughts, Brad, before we let our listeners go about the upcoming weekend?
No, I hope everybody had a great Christmas like we did, like obviously Trevor and his family did. We're on our way to the new year. Everybody be safe. Have fun with these bets or this action, these plays we give you. But do it just for fun. Don't get to where you're stressing out. Finley says hello too. Say hi, Finn. Don't get to where
she likes the trophy.
Oh, she wants that. I want that myself. That look real nice on my mantle. So we'll see what happens.
It's a hell of a trophy. I don't even know where we got this thing from, but it all of a sudden became our. Oh, wait a minute. Actually, I do know. Before we let everybody go, apparently my wife got this trophy because she was the worst bowler at Southern Wine and Spirits Christmas party. Well, I'll be damned.
That's all right. We've adopted it. I like it. It's got a good look to it. But
All
yeah,
right.
enjoy the weekend. Have some fun. Play light so you're not stressed out. You're not stressing your family out. Just have fun with it.
Yep, and we are going to try to bring you content now 2 times a week. So we're going to try and obviously give you a Week 18 angle, but for sure, the playoffs are coming, man, and we got to get you ready for that because there is a lot of money to be made. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do, too, between DraftKings and FanDuel and Underdog and Prize Picks and all these great places to play. But right now, we're saying save that money. Maybe keep that in your wallet or in your money clip for the playoffs because they're coming soon and they're going to be here fast. And we're going to get you all the plays you need when we get there. So, everybody, if we don't talk to you before then, and thank you for watching and tuning in. So, Let's Talk More Action.live. For my co-host, Brad Shoulders, your host, Trevor Lutke. Ciao for now. Have a great new year.
See ya.